But today we got our first ever Waylay in a pro play. You can see it just here with a Raga in this game, which was XLG versus BLG here on Icebox. They also actually played Waylay on Fracture, and guess what? They lost both of those maps that they played Waylay, and they won on the map that they didn't play Waylay, so it's not a great start. And really, what you can tell from these kind of things, I think, early on, and this happens a lot with new agents, is things like this, right? Where we're just going to see kind of, I would say, like inefficiencies with a new agent, right? And you get this quite a lot because in this round, BLG, they're just going to come A and they're just going to harbor ult in a second just there. Just take a look at what Raga does, right? Because he's going to retreat to kind of the back site. Then when we see him next, you see that he's already using here, he's already used the E, right? So he's already kind of used that up, and by the time that he gets out and escapes and they come for this retake, they don't have it essentially. And this to me is just like one of the classic examples of things that you'll see a lot when a new agent comes out, which is just inefficiencies on the agent, right? Where this to me is like he's playing this as if he's playing Jet, right? This what he does here is basically I'm playing Jet, because if you think about if this was Jet, right, he comes to the back site, he's then going to activate, for Jet it would be his dash, and if he's in this spot with a dash, right, he can just stay here on this angle, wait a bit, and then dash out. Right, like that's what you would do on Jet. But he's not playing Jet. He's playing Waylay. So this is actually on the back site, and TPing back here is going to do him no good. Right, so this is kind of one of the inefficiencies where in this kind of moment here, when he first gets harbor ulted, if he was experienced playing Waylay, what he probably does is instead of coming this way, he comes out this way, realizes, hey, we're going to play for retake, and I'm going to have my ability to come back in for the retake and then potentially come back out, right, with my signature ability. So that, again, is just like an example of some of the problems you can have, particularly early on when using a new agent. We got another good example of this in the very next round as well, where if you take a look at this, we're going to get aggressive on Waylay, which is, something you're going to want to do a lot. But look at where he's going to put this teleport down. It's very potentially scary here what happens. And you see as he goes to the TP Raga, like there is a world here where he dies. Right, the cascade kind of maybe helps him get out a little bit just there and give him a bit of protection, but there is a world in which he dies, and again you see like some of the potential pitfalls of an agent like this. But let's skip ahead now to round number 7, where we're going to see something that's pretty cool but doesn't end up working out.
留一个口子的那个感觉。
而且 Nef 确实直接这个拿了一个击败。
哦 ，Happy 维打了一个。Raga 直接飞高点，要秒能秒吗？丢给到了，但没有吧。
Okay, so let's talk about this. And there are multiple things that I want to bring up here, which is, first off, right, this is kind of a cool idea, probably something that you aren't really used to, and, perhaps can get a bit of surprise value here if you are XLG, right? So just that as in and of itself is quite a cool idea. But let's talk about the pairing with Gecko here, right? Because there are multiple things that I need to point out to you here, right? One, with this pairing with Gecko, one of the problems that we have in this specific scenario is that as Raga is dashing up here and you've got the Dizzy Flash just here, the thing is it takes time for this Dizzy Flash to actually hit Nef, right? So as you'll see in just a second, like the goop here from the Dizzy takes time for it to hit Nef, and Nef actually has already hit him and can see where Raga is. Right, so ends up killing him before the flash fully kind of takes effect, because this flash has a travel time, right? So this is kind of one of the problems, you might say, of playing, a Waylay with a Gecko, is that, this kind of thing might happen, particularly on a bigger map like Icebox. So then you might think, oh, well, play something else, right? Play something like KO, which is still good on the map and you have a flash. The problem with playing KO, though, and this was pointed out by Shayo in my Twitch chat, is if you play something like KO, when you dash with Waylay, you dash the way that you are facing, right? So if you're dashing forward with Waylay, you have to face forward. There is no way around that. So if you were going for this like second dash up here and a KO flash was coming over the top just here, well, the thing is you have to face forward. So there's no way for you to actually turn that flash, right? That just will hit you as well. So in this scenario, if this instead of a Gecko was a KO, we'd be flashing here, and yeah, you would be flashed, but so would I. Right, we'd both just end up flashed, and we wouldn't really end up getting any value from it, right? Potentially, we could, time it perfectly to where I'm doing this dash, and, we time it so that it flashes like now, right? And now I'm coming over the top. Yeah, you could, but, that's not necessarily going to be the easiest thing to perfectly time in the world. So, in this sense, Gecko does have a small advantage, particularly earlier on, of at least you can't flash yourself. right? Like, yeah, in this specific circumstance, you know, this is quite far away, so it ends up kind of taking too much time. But if this player, you know, was here instead, you know, this flash takes less time to get there to them, you know, flashes them earlier, maybe we get this kill. So I do think there are at least some advantages to playing Gecko. And later on, they did do this exact same kind of setup, and actually did manage to find the kill from it, with then the TP out.
其实都已经教过很多轮了。
再给同样的战术，在高点位可以多架一会儿，可以多架一会儿。但 Nef 选择 pick 出来，刚刚好。 给到了 Raga 可以抽免费枪的。
But now let's take a look at round number 9, which is definitely the best Waylay round that we saw.
而现在 BLG 主要是他们前期优势真的很大呀，海参海顿一给这个爆能器就能安了。
还有酷流狂潮这种隔绝视线，能帮助 BLG 快速的贴到近点，而 XLG 没有什么反制的手段。
对，容错太高了，海顿给了爆能器一拍，这回防已经很难打了。
王浩哲的解封真的是来如影去如风啊！
是，哎，这一分就是王浩哲很熟悉的感觉了，哎。 但刚说完啊，直接被 Raga 给打掉了。Raga 有终极技能的，
那其实终极技能好了非常多个回合了，这个时光修罗床好像一直找不到机会去使用。
要先清黄香，能清到吗？可以，这个效果很好。哎，但打了半天还行。Nef 也被收掉了，这个终极技能直接给了。
这个区域覆盖的非常漂亮。
修罗场两个都被照到了，而且爆能器要被拆完了。这一分 ，XLG 是成功拿下。
Okay, so here in the retake, we see basically all of the abilities being used here from the Waylay and finding some value from it, right? We don't actually get value from the TP. We don't need it in the end, but, you know, that's always giving us the option in case we do need it. We use the little bubble here, right? Manages to hit onto the Sova with the Teo stun in here as well, right? No way to get away from all of that. Easy kill, right? Easy kill right there. And then we get the ult, right? So we dash across, we get the kill off the util there, then we use the ult and this secures the round, right? And even if we didn't have wingman, you know, at this point we could stick the spike anyway, because they just can't fight this, right? So we get a really good ult usage, we get, you know, good util usage across the board, and we end up with a really nice Waylay round where we see the potential value. Now let's flip sides and take a look at a couple attacking ideas that they had, which were also quite cool. Starting with this one here in round number 15, which is an eco, but they managed to get the first kill with, again, a kind of nice surprise idea.
就算有盖可加太湖 A 包点可以站人的位置，他们也没有办法全部覆盖到位。
对，哇，现在对 XLG 来说，这打完感觉回去梦里全是对手拿着正义的情景。来看一下，直接跳 OK。 效果非常不错，但 Russia.
So this is just an eco, so they aren't going to end up winning this round, but I do think it's a really cool idea, right, to potentially get this first kill, where we see, you know, they walk into their own Viper Orb just there, they're going to go for the dash up over the top with the Gecko Flash, and you have to think if you're the Sova here, right, like if you're back here, you are not used to some, like, this is not a position where you think you're in a lot of danger of, you know, getting dived upon. This is not a very common idea whatsoever, right? And this is some of the things that you will see, particularly early on with Waylay, is the kind of surprise value, right? Of like, no one does this. This is not a thing that is done. And then the TP out as well to get back into safety, back into the Viper Orb. So this was a really, like, cool idea, and I think particularly early on with Waylay, if you were going to say, like, hey, I want to play Waylay, you would probably say that you can get some of these surprise dashes on people and then TP out, you know, that they aren't quite ready for. You will find some value from that, particularly early on. And then if we come to the very next round as well, this one also has a pretty nice start for XLG in the first gun round of the attack side.
暴拳在 A 点的这个统治力还是很强的。
哎，王浩哲好像还没有解决，就沿用了这一把。 燎拳非常省钱。
对 ，Nef 直接起了一把，判官要过来要逮王浩哲，能逮住吗？好像没有能够逮掉。
So this is a really nice little play from XLG all in all, right? They quickly realize that, you know, there are multiple people here. They hear a Bulldog shoot the Dizzy Flash just there. They hear a Judge shoot the Teo drone. They've got the Deep Viper Orb here, do BLG. So they very quickly realize, okay, there's multiple people here, but the plan that they come up with is very good, right? You're going to get the combo here of the Teo missile plus the little bubble there, which forces YZ to retreat. We're then dashing up here with the Waylay as well, with the potential to TP out again if, you know, things go wrong and things aren't there for us. We can always get out of it, but a really good use of the Teo missiles here in combination, right? Putting the second missile down here for like where they're likely to potentially retreat to, really, really nice idea. Ends up getting a kill with the spam here from Raga, meaning that they can't escape. Just a really nice little combo idea, right? And using the Waylay to kind of full potential there. So that was really good, and I'll just play out the round and talk about Waylay a bit more here as you know, we can just play this out. Because I do think that this video and some of the things that I've shown, it kind of shows both sides of Waylay, right? Like, yes, can you find some value from this agent? You know, yes, there will be value to be found at times. However, there is still some problems, I think. A problem that I hadn't even really thought about with the kind of flash combos necessarily, and like what you're probably likely to want to do. You know, in terms of pairing, you know, Waylay with other initiators and how you want to necessarily go about that might not be as easy, which again is going to be a bit of a problem. As we see early on, there is still, like, inefficiencies are going to be abound, you know, early on when using a new agent, and that definitely is the case for Waylay, who I still think there are better duelist options.